Hello, friends. I thought I'd check back in with another update. I am, let's see, 33 days into this whole elimination, re-adding things in diet. Yay. And it's really been going really well, and I feel like I'm learning a lot about myself and my body in all this. So it's been good. I am down 13 pounds since I started, which is crazy surprising to me. I think that just means there's inflammation there and maybe some hidden things that I wasn't realizing that I was eating. So I'm interested to see as I'm adding things back in how that fluctuates. But weight, again, was not my driving. It wasn't like the reason I did this. So, yay, I lost some weight, but that wasn't the key to doing this. It was really just healing my skin and some of the issues that I've been having. So, we did 21 days, a little over 21 days of just elimination eating. So, it was beef, salt, water, and then I did do coffee and cream for the first probably 20 days or so, and then I cut it out right at the end for the last 4 or 5. Because I noticed that I had a weird reaction after I drank a cup of coffee, and I didn't know if they were connected or if it was just a weird coincidence. But I'm like, well, we're gonna get rid of all of it and see what happens. So, yeah, so mostly beef, salt, and water. I still kept coffee, but I wasn't using sweeteners or anything like that. So it was just heavy cream and coffee and salt that I was drinking. I also forgot to mention before, when I saw my primary care, she had sent out some blood work for me to test for allergies, and they did all the normal stuff. They did gluten, they did fish and eggs and dairy, all the ones that are kind of standard. And the only thing that came back was that I had a slight peanut allergy, but it's like, if it was like 0.01 less, it would be negligible. So I don't think, well, that might contribute and it might be an issue. I don't think that's what's causing like the craziness. So we'll see. And so what I had ended up doing, I read a bunch of places online about different elimination diets and protocols for reintroducing foods. And frankly, they all seemed either like they didn't really apply well or really overwhelming and time consuming. Because I've done the elimination part, I want to do the adding back in part right, but I also want to be able to eat a fairly normal for me, like not like standard American diet, but like a normal for me diet sooner than later. It's kind of where I'm at. So I landed on one where it said eat one food 2 times a day for 2 days and then take the 3rd day off and see if you notice any changes while you're eating that food. If there aren't any changes, it's probably fine. If there are changes, cut it out again. I figured I could do that, and then every 3 days I get a new food. Yay for me. So that's kind of what I landed on to try. And so the first food I introduced was eggs, which I don't even really like eggs. I like a specific way that I cook them, but there's more ingredients involved. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. So I had scrambled eggs twice a day for 2 days, which was not that fun. And then I was like, oh, I'm doing fine. And on the 3rd day, I noticed that the back of my arm just felt so dry and itchy, and it didn't feel good. And I was like, either eggs are an issue, I'm overthinking this, or it could be the weather, it could be the shirt I'm wearing, it could be, and so I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown, because who knows? I mean, at some point, who knows what is causing these reactions? But I was like, okay, so I think the mature thing to do here is to cut out eggs again. And then once I've got a few other foods that I've gone through that I've noticed reactions or not noticed reactions, we'll come back to it. So eggs are a no-go for right now. Again, not all that sad about it, but can't have eggs. That's fine. And I wanted to introduce things that I thought were maybe problematic, but then I was thinking, okay, maybe if I introduce some things that aren't problematic, likely, then that will give me a good baseline for, okay, so if I'm reintroducing a food and I notice a little bit of this or I notice a little bit of that, it's probably not really the food. It's probably just my skin continuing to heal and having a moment, or, it could be the sweater that I'm wearing or whatever that's causing the issue. So the next thing that I added in was actually element, and not because They're lovely and they sponsor us, but because I was craving something sweet, something that felt like a treat for me, something that was like, here's a reward for all your hard work, which I know is not the best way to approach this, but it's what I did. So I added in just Element, and I've had the raspberry and the chocolate. So again, that's probably 2 different flavors at the same time. Is also not a great way to do it, but that's what I did. Had no issues with those. So I've been able to incorporate those a little bit more. Not because I really feel like I need the electrolytes, but again, because I have always had a sweet tooth, and it is something, it's like, it feels like a little bit of something that can keep me motivated for the long run, if that makes sense. Then I added back in cabbage because vegetables, you know. But Aaron said it was one, I believe what he said was it is an antihistamine. There's an antihistamine component in it. I'm like, well, that can't hurt, right? So we added cabbage in and have done fine with that, which was good. And then the last food that I added in was pork rinds. I'm like, let's try something crunchy. And again, you know, okay, so cabbage isn't carnivore, but it's not a hateful vegetable. But Element, I feel like I've used while I'm doing a carnivore-ish diet. Pork rinds, you know, it's pork skin and its own fat and salt, you know, still animal products. So I feel like I'm doing really well with that. And because now I feel like I've established a baseline of introducing foods that aren't problematic, I can go back and try a few more that could be. So I'm thinking next I'm going to do cream, like a heavy cream, to see if maybe dairy was the issue, which wouldn't surprise me. And then after that, I want to try tomatoes, and there was something else I was thinking that I was like, that could be an issue. Maybe that was one of them. Because what I had done was made a list of the foods I eat frequently, and I noticed I eat a lot of the same foods, like in different variations. And so I'm trying to kind of work through that list, going from, you know, this is something that a lot of people have issues with, to something like, I have never heard of anybody having a reaction to pork rinds. So kind of just going back and forth and picking things where I'm getting to add new foods and add to my list of okay foods, but also still trying some of the things that are likely to have a reaction. The other thing, if we want to have confession time, is I have realized that morning me is pretty mature. I can go into the day and say, okay, I have a solid plan. I'm ready to do this. Afternoon me, also pretty mature. Okay, I'm eating whatever I'm eating for lunch. I don't usually eat what the kids eat anyway. No big deal. Evening me is a beast. Evening me is a hot mess. I have found that as I get closer to the evening, I get very, woe is me. This is going to be my life forever. I'm never going to be able to eat anything. And it's not true. I mean, it's not true, but I have noticed that that is when I struggle. And so knowing that when I go into the evening times, that's when I struggle, I feel like has mentally helped me prepare for it so that it isn't as big of an issue. Also, I think adding back in the Element, so if I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want something sweet, I have something that's acceptable, even though I don't want to get in the habit of like, okay, I made it through the day, here's my reward. That I don't want to look at it like that. But yes, this is what I've learned about myself. Morning and afternoon me, very mature and reasonable. Evening me, hot mess. So there have been a few times I've texted my friend and I'm like, you're gonna need to send help because I am not doing well. But it's been good. And again, Aaron has been super supportive. I think that is one of the things that has been key for me, is having somebody in my house who's like, you can do this. Like, how can I help? Shall I cook you a steak? You know, those kinds of things that he has just really gone above and beyond of like taking care of me and helping me. My parents, my mom in particular, I feel like has really been a great cheerleader for me. Like, I know this is really hard. You're doing a great job. You'll figure it out. We're in it with, like, let's do this. And so all of that I feel like has been really helpful. I have a really great support system. If you're doing something like this, get a support system. Find somebody you can text when you're like, Why am I doing this again? Because I'm over it. Because again, like I said in the last video, they'll text back, think of your skin, and then you won't want to eat the things and it'll be okay. So that is where I'm at. Cabbage, element, pork rinds. I'm adding to my beef salt and water, and then we will just see from there. I don't have like a complete list of things that I'm going to add in. I don't have a schedule, like what order I want to do anything. I am just trying to think, okay, these 2 days, this is what I want to do next. Okay, how did that go? These 2 days, what do I want to do after that? And so that is where I'm at. We will see how it goes. But I just want to give you an update. Hang in there. If you're doing something like this, especially if you're working for healing of your own body, hang in there. It can be a lot. And it can be mentally as exhausting just trying to figure out how to do it and if you're doing it right. But I am hopeful that at the end of this, I will have some answers. I will know how to better take care of my body. And Lord willing, I won't have to do it again. So we will see. Anyway, thank you for tuning in and listening to me ramble about my journey. I would love to hear your stories. And everybody that left a comment in the last one, thank you so much. They were so encouraging. Great things to think about. Thank you. I so much appreciate you. I'm going to stop rambling now. Kilby out. Peace.